are these people?
TikTok got banned. Who would have thought? Well, it's not quite banned yet.
Not yet, but it's on its way to be if the Zionists get their way, which they probably will. And
yep, very easy. TikTok bill passes U.S. House. ByteDance now has 6 months to divest from TikTok. Otherwise, the app will be banned in the United States if it passes the Senate. So I wanted to look at real quick, if it will let me, this right here. So this is from CNN. This is how each member of the House voted, right? We've got what? 50 Democrats said no, 15 Republicans said no, but looks like George Carlin's right again, that bipartisan shit's meant to fuck us on both sides of the aisle. So, you know, that's pretty much how that works. Anyone we want to go specifically to look at?
no.
Yes. No. Biggs, Arizona. Bishop.
Like we know how the squad vote. I mean, people care a little bit about the squad. We know how they voted.
Bowman voted no.
Of course they did, because they have no power and it means nothing. So it doesn't hurt them not to
Boyle voted
to
no.
Vote no.
Who else? Who else voted no? Bush voted no. Or sorry, no. Yeah, Bush. And then any other no's? Cesar.
Yeah, it's all symbolic at
Castro,
this point.
Yeah.
You know, they have no power anymore. So it doesn't really matter. If you were to do a test where you just looked at all the yes votes and then track to see if those people are getting a bunch of APAC money, you would find that there is a strict correlation.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that for sure. Esplat.
You can move on.
Yeah.
You can move on.
Cool.
We don't need to see this.
Okay. Well, we do need to see this. Nancy Pelosi with another great one-liner.
This is not an attempt to ban TikTok. It's an attempt to make TikTok better. Tic-tac-toe. A winner. A winner.
So, you know.
Tic-tac-toe. A winner.
I just had to put that on the soundboard because why not? So, Thomas Massey, the so-called TikTok ban is a Trojan horse. The president will be given power to ban websites, not just apps. The person breaking the new law is deemed to be the U.S. or offshore internet hosting service or app store, not the foreign adversary, right? So he points out foreign adversary controlled application. The term foreign adversary controlled application means a website, desktop application, mobile application, or augmented or immersive technology application that is operated directly or indirectly, including through a parent company, subsidiary, or affiliate by a foreign adversary, right? So again, it shall be unlawful for an entity to distribute, maintain, or update or enable the distribution, maintenance, or updating of a foreign adversary controlled application by carrying out within the land or maritime borders of the United States any of the following: providing services to distribute, maintain, or update such foreign adversary controlled application, including any source code or such application by means of a marketplace, including an online mobile application store through which users within the land of maritime borders of the United States may access, maintain, or update such application, or provide internet hosting services to enable the distribution, maintaining, or updating. Right? So, all that fun stuff. Misty responds, all the censorship shit we've been warning about, they're doing it out loud and in the open with no apologies. Do we wonder why that is? Do we wonder why that might be? Well, it might be this guy, ADL's Jonathan Greenblatt. So we'll see what he has to say, unfortunately.
Speak frank about it. We've been on this show. We've talked about Instagram. We've talked about Twitter or X, and you've seen my back and forth with Elon Musk. But we need to talk about TikTok. TikTok, if you will, it is the 24/7 news channel of so many of our young people. And it's like Al Jazeera on steroids, amplifying, in intensifying the anti-Semitism and the anti-Zionism with no repercussions. I've got to ask, Joe, like there's been a lot of lamentations about the fact that TikTok's ownership is Chinese, but you know what? Oracle owns 10% of the company. General Atlantic owns a piece of the company. Our friends at Sequoia Capital own a piece of the company. So does Sequoia and General Atlantic, does Oracle want to be responsible for spreading anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism? It's time to talk about TikTok. And I think we need members of Congress to be asking them, why are they doing enough? And let me be clear, I've met with Shou Chew, the CEO. I've talked to their leadership, but it is long past time for TikTok and its owners and its investors to step up and say, enough, we're going to take action.
Frank Ford, do you have teenage kids?
I do.
So you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, it is amazing what our children, what their friends, what younger people are getting, the unfiltered anti-Semitic bile that they're getting every day off of TikTok. And again, I didn't understand what was going on college campuses, why it was happening.
Yeah.
If you don't understand what's going on in college campuses, don't look at the University of Penn, right? Look at TikTok.
I mean,
that's where this is.
It makes me despair for the world that they're going to inhabit, just the low quality of the informational ecosystem in which they exist, where demagoguery, misinformation circulates like oxygen. And it also makes me despair for the ways in which they debate one another, that they're just incapable of expressing disagreement without resorting to hyperbole. And also the way in which everybody is forced to take sides about an issue which most people have exceedingly low knowledge, which is why you get
extraordinarily ignorant on this
why
issue.
Would we take sides with genocide?
I don't say that about
why would we do that?
East. You know, people who have no idea what's been going on since 1948 will look at a 30-second clip. And then they'll become experts and march across the college campus.
They'll take over the building based on a TikTok.
Take out TikTok.
And the numbers of young people who think that Hamas's, massacre was justified.
This is a leaked call, by the way.
Terrifyingly high.
So the audience understands.
We really have a TikTok problem, a Gen Z problem, that our community needs to put the same brains that gave us Taglit, the same brains that gave us all these other amazing innovations, need to put our energy toward this, like, fast. Because again, like, we've been chasing this left-right divide. It's the wrong game. The real game is the next generation. And the Hamas and their accomplices, the useful idiots in the West, are falling in line in ways that are terrifying. Last thing I'll just say, we saw a dramatic change in the language of the activists here in America on October the 8th. The language of groups that we've long tracked, who've long been problematic, like Students for Justice in Palestine and Jewish Voices for Peace, they flipped like this and went to like Iranian propaganda.
Iranian.
Which I could show you from their toolkits, because our analysts are in their groups. We saw this again on October the 8th. It was that fast.
Right after October 8th, we know it definitely didn't happen anything before that. Nothing happened before that. So yeah. Thoughts so far, fellas?
Look, I said this to you off air, and I'll say it again. Please, and I'm not on TikTok, so it's just too much for me. I'm a Twitter guy, so I can't be on all these social media apps all day. But please, I am begging them, ban it. Because what a great way to fucking lose Gen Z forever. Please do it. Please do it. And it's so funny because I said this on Twitter. Wouldn't it be funny if the revolution that we all been waiting for happens because of fucking TikTok? Not because of healthcare, not because of homelessness, not even because of Aaron Bushnell, may he rest in peace, like over 2 weeks ago, over fucking TikTok. Wouldn't that be a thing? That would be, to me, glorious if Gen Z and the youth basically uprise against the establishment because of bullshit like this. And, you know, they basically kind of call themselves out in terms of, you know, in the past when they talked about TikTok, it's all they have to do with China, whatever. We know this is very much that they're trying to protect Israel. This is all about trying to hide the propaganda that they've been spewing, that they know that they're failing at, and especially with the youth, that they are more aligned. And look, here's the thing. And this is the part that sucks for me, because in my next segment about Lord Balfour, I actually will give like actual information in terms of why, you know, the situation is as it is in Israel, Palestine right now. But to them, that will be considered anti-Semitic and maybe misinformation, when that has actually been, you know, proven to be true. So the idea that, you know, anything that we can say can be deemed by them as misinformation, I think just sucks. But I think, you know, on a bigger level, this affects us too. You know, we've already been demonetized, you know, and we've already been like, and I know, Rob, you know this very well, given how, you know, you're on Rockfin now due to the bullshit that YouTube has done to you, like as far as your personal channel. Like people have to understand, like, this, you know, anyone who's in independent media, especially with our colleagues, should be very concerned about this. And the fact that, you know, as I said earlier, the idea like healthcare, homelessness, they have to like debate and like pretend like, oh, we can't do this. Oh, we have to have this committee to kind of figure this out. Within how many days, or I would argue months, like they were able to get this bill passed in the House practically immediately because Zionists basically told them to. It's disgusting.
Yep.
And I think it's actually going to put the politicians in sort of a bind, because if they actually do want to keep their seats, and this pertains particularly to someone like Biden, he's got to know that he's got to get Gen Z to get reelected. So is he going to bow to his masters? Are the people in the Senate, which is very close, you know, are all those senators going to go against the grain and risk losing that entire generation by doing this? It does put them in a difficult position, but of course their masters are telling them that they have to essentially do this. And if the bill does actually pass, I think it'll be a testament to how much power AIPAC and the Israeli lobby actually has, because it's pretty clearly like a suicide bill for some of these people that actually want to maintain a career in politics. Because even Chris Mowry, you guys know that guy that, you know, little fella on Twitter who's being paid by Palette Media, which is essentially a DNC cutout to spread propaganda like Harry Sisson and all them. Even he called out Biden today. So I'm like, if you're losing the guy who's like on your payroll, you've lost that generation if you pass that bill. So I think you're right, Collin. Like,
he tried to tell Savvy he wasn't paid by the DNC, and she was like, "There's motherfucking receipts, dog." Like,
wait,
we have pictures.
Wait, he responded to her?
Yeah, he responded to her.
That's not smart.
Like a dummy. So let's get to him first.
Goddamn mouth shut.
Indy replies to, you know, Greg, who's posting that hotspot video we just watched, because maybe stuff didn't start on October 7th on TikTok. Jewish American here. You don't speak for me. Stop buying off Congress and the media with this propaganda nonsense. Israel murdered 300 plus Palestinians and 23 before October 7th. Tear gassed Al Aqsa last Ramadan. So we also covered who actually runs TikTok. You know, go back in our video files and check out TikTok Trojan Horse. That was with me and Jesse. Great article by Alan McLeod. That it's, you know, run by the CIA. Speaking of CIA, you were talking about Chris Mowry, who said Congress and the White House owe it to the American people to show us the evidence they have regarding security concerns with TikTok. 170 million active users, and the lack of transparency along with the confusion is unacceptable. People have built their livelihoods on TikTok. So, yeah. And this guy, I don't know who he is, but the influencers who made their money by being sellouts to the dim party are losing their shit. I couldn't agree more. You know, very funny. Very funny
But
stuff.
I will say this too, very quick. Like, and again, talked about this with you offline, but the reality is Harry and Chris and all of them, they'll be just fine because they don't talk about anything problematic per se. They're just shills for Biden and talk about Trump all day long. Like, that's the narrative that the media, the mainstream media wants to push. So as long as they kind of keep within that vein, they will be just fine. Even like assuming that like if it does pass and then a buyer has to buy off, an American buyer has to buy off TikTok, and God forbid it could be very well a Zionist billionaire who would just happen to buy it, they'll be cool. It's us that will be fucked because we are the ones that go against them and actually do promote truth. That it's the people on YouTube and other platforms as such, or basically anything that they don't like that they will deem unacceptable, is a target.
Al Jazeera, Mint Press, In Context, RT for sure.
Hotspot.
Maybe. Yeah, plenty of places. Twitter. You know, like, I mean, world's their oyster with this. This is Patriot Act 2 on steroids, so we'll see. Anything to add to finish up?
Basically, statistically, and even one of the congressmen said it today on video, that's where people go on TikTok, is where people under the age of like 25 go to get their news.
Yeah.
So that's actually the real problem. And the real problem that the Zionists have is that when the genocide first started, the I stand with Palestine versus I stand with Israel hashtags on TikTok, it was like 6-1 in favor of Palestine. That number I saw earlier today in a report that it's actually 39-1 now. So in considering what Chris just said, which is one of the first true things he's ever said, which is there's like 170 million people on there. You think about, like, the Zionists are getting their ass handed to them so badly on TikTok, and particularly to young people who get all their news from TikTok. That explains to you why they're getting targeted more than any other platform, is because the young people who are now kind of engaging in this citizen journalism are all turning to these social media sites, and in particular TikTok, and that's where the Zionists are getting their ass handed to them. I would argue because it's full of young people who generally tend to be against genocide and see all the clips and generally tend to be against what's going on, where it's only the old people who watch MSNBC, like Morning Joe, that tend to be on the side of Israel in the first place. That explains why that ratio is so high on TikTok, and it explains exactly why that's the platform that they're going after. Anybody that's telling you this is about China, it has nothing to do with China. That's all propaganda. It's a pretext to try to force it through Congress and to sell that to the public. What this is about young people educating each other on a very popular platform that isn't owned by American companies, so they can't deregulate, or they can't, I mean, TikTok has its problems, but it's not like Facebook, where I tried to reshare that Tehran Times article that leaked that audio that we just listened to from the ADL, and you can't actually share it on Facebook. There's a warning comes up and it won't let you share it. So TikTok is still better than that. So they're just getting their ass kicked, and that's why TikTok is getting targeted, because the Israeli lobby understands statistically it needs to go away so they can maintain their narrative.
Well, it's also,
which I feel like
they're pushing for war in Taiwan too. I mean, we're more than willing to start with the anti-China stuff. So,
Yeah. And it's a bonus. Yeah, you're right. Like, that narrative also bonuses, paves the way for us, going to war with China in 2027 or whatever.
Yeah. Well, anything else? I think that's it.
I'm good.
I mean, the only thing I have to say, too little, too late.
Yeah.
Like, try as you might. Again, as I said, do it. I would love to see them do it. I would love to see them try to ban it and have young people basically be all pissed off that it will affect this election and probably every single election thereafter. Because if they, as Rob said, if they really want to, and again, it's sad that it's come to like an app to actually kind of engage people, but I could see it because as you said, people are engaged, young people, and then off of, it's not even just on the app. It's that, as you said, Rob, people are talking to each other, especially on college campuses, which is why college campuses have also been affected, because you're in that space where you're able to connect with each other just in terms of your ideas, and you're able to have good conversations about this issue, and you may be able to kind of figure out like what you may not necessarily have learned in school in terms of this issue. So to have that already been happening, and even prior to October 7th, and take away the very vehicle that is lending people to hear the truth in a way that is tangible to the youth, they're gonna be on their shit if it's banned. So like I said, I want to see it happen. And I hope that this is kind of the start of a revolution, especially among the youth rise up. So, I mean, we'll have to wait and see. But, I mean, it sucks it has to be this way. But if this is a way to kind of get people more engaged, I'm all for it.
Yeah. Well, and this is just either forcing someone to sell or just more censorship. So, we don't stand for that here,
I don't stand for that.
So, but what we do stand for is getting some monies for things occasionally. I know people don't have any, but we take what we can get. If you scan that QR code or go to ko-fi.com/Indie News Network, you can help us get Jesse a new computer because he needs it. We're getting there. That little green bar's going up. Make it go up a little more.
Or if you forget the link, you can type in the chat
exclamation mark donate,
and it will pull it up for you, and you can give at any time during the stream.
And if you can't do that, do some of these things, like and subscribe, hit the share button, leave a comment, do all the things to try to fight the censorship to help us out. We appreciate it.